Do you know how long it's been since I have loved a movie this year? Man, it's nice to finally say I like something. It's so good. There's been a lot of movies that haven't come out this year, and then there's been some that I'm just like, they're fine, but this movie, David Fincher's Mank, holy shit, this is straight up everything I love. And I really just cannot believe we live in an era of filmmaking and creativity where a movie of this caliber of creation in terms of direction and acting and cinematography and sound mixing in everything goes to Netflix. Because this is, I will argue, this is the most auteur prestigious film I've ever seen made at Netflix. This is absolutely brilliant and stunning in every regards of the words, and makes me love cinema. It just makes me want to go back and watch Citizen Kane. It makes me want to go back and just be invested in that era of storytelling again, because I am a huge supporter and a huge fan of classic Hollywood. It's some of like my favorite books to read. I'm constantly reading books about classic Hollywood. In that era in the 30s where everything's just kind of from the Great Depression leading into a bigger war, when the politics are so poignant in that story and in that world that the biggest people in that world are in the forefront of some of our leading pictures, that shit is dope to me. So 112%, of course I'm going to be in love with the movie Mank. Now the story of Mank is about Herman J Mankiewicz, the writer, he did write it. The writer who worked on the best film of all time, Citizen Kane, and how that came to be. This is what I like about my biopics. First off, it's not the story of this guy. It's not his life story. This is him working on this movie, the people he knows in the real world that it relates to, and how that comes back into him making this film. That's what this is about, and it is brilliant. I believe the screenplay for this movie, Mank, was written by David Fincher's father before he passed away. So I love seeing that there's such an understanding and a feel of classic Hollywood in here. The way people talk, the way they move, the way they act. It's so brilliantly done and written. I love a nice tight script. It's one of my favorite things in the world is to be able to sit down, listen to a script in full form, and then read it later. And I'm just like, I cannot wait to read this script. It sounds like it's going to be a really good, fascinating read. And it's such a tight script. I know I just said that, but the way the dialogue just plays off each other, every character has their moments being read. It is so beautifully constructed and choreographed. It's amazing. And that also comes to what David Fincher did to this. This movie is shot exactly like it would be in the 30s. Right down to the way the audio sounds, right down to the music scores. The music is straight up 1930s. It's absolutely brilliant and stunning. The way the transitions happen, the way the characters move and talk, everything about it is the 30s. It's gorgeously stunning. From the get-go, you're like, this is something special that we don't see enough of in modern storytelling and in modern movies, and I think it's brilliant. And if you know nothing about the story of Citizen Kane or of William Randolph Hearst, which how could you not? I know here, where I'm from in Canada, we don't really talk about that guy, but if you don't know anything about William Randolph Hearst, or even guys like L.B. Mayer, or even Mankiewicz himself, or Orson Welles, this is a great way to show you who those characters are. Because holy shit, they were all cast very perfectly, very interesting to see their performances in here. Gary Oldman, of course, wow, what a powerhouse actor he always shows us he can be. I think that is absolutely brilliant of him and absolutely fascinating just to see what he does. Just the way he carries himself throughout this performance is so indicative of something we've seen him do before. It's fantastic. I want to give a quick shout out to Tom Burke, who plays Orson Welles. He's not in the movie a lot, but my God, does that guy sound and look just like Orson Welles? I was literally blown away. Just like, this guy is Orson. This is how he looks. This is how he talks. I love it. And Amanda Seyfried, man, oh my goodness. Marion Davis in this is a very tragic figure, not only in the story of her own life, but in the story of Citizen Kane, the homage to her. And in this movie, you just see there is a brilliant mind in there that has just been like powered down by the men around her, and she's never really allowed to grow or thrive because of that. And once you see that in here, there's such a tragedy to her. That's a brilliant performance and a brilliant way we see things. I've never seen this side of Amanda Seyfried before. I'm really impressed with how she handled herself and composed herself. I'd say it's Oscar worthy. I'd say her and Gary deserve an Oscar nom, man. Like, they really just knocked it out of the park with the performance. But it's really David Fincher that knew what this needed to be. I can't just talk enough on the sound mixing. You hear this, the audio quality is straight up from the 30s. The way everything looks is straight up from the 30s. I am just amazed by everything that happened in this movie. There's nothing like it before. And this is, I'm so excited we're finally getting into this era of Hollywood again, where we're telling these stories about the guys that used to run the world, but we're like, fuck them. They're crazy people. They do bad things. It shouldn't be about this agenda. We make the films we want, and I think that's very important. I'm literally obsessed with this movie. I just think it's such a tight, clean script. It's just such perfectly edited and casted, and everything about it works so well. It looks like Citizen Kane. This is the spiritual successor to Citizen Kane, just in the terms of the way it looks. Every design element, the low angles, everything is indicative of Orson Welles' original story. And I think this is one that everybody should check out if you are a fan of this world, because it is so cool to see this is how we are presenting things, and it's so fun. I hope this gets an Oscar nom. I really do. I think a lot of people will enjoy it if it does, because this is my favorite film of the year, and I cannot wait to see what other people think of this. This is what I want in my films. I want something that harkens back to an era that I'm fond of and I love. It's talking about a story that I love. Hollywood jerking itself off to me is something I really enjoy seeing, so I'm really happy we got that. Just everything about this movie worked. The sound mixing, the sound editing, the cinematography, the lighting, the camera movements, the acting, the writing, the directing. It all culminated into like the perfect film about the best film ever made, with some of the most interesting and eccentric people in Hollywood. And yeah, the rich are pricks sometimes. So, Mank, I'm going to give this beautiful film a 10 out of 10. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.